Welcome to DFS Insights, where the game behind the game comes to life. I am David Geisler, and alongside me is David Grant Jr., my cousin and co-strategist. The teams up on the block are the Dallas Mavericks at the Golden State Warriors.
With your lineup success as our top priority, this is where David and I will deep dive into the top 3 plays that we like for this matchup. We'll break down the strategy behind our picks and share the insights to enhance your lineups. And don't miss out on the finale, where we reveal 2 fully procured lineups absolutely free for you.
Yeah, and for those who, don't want to hear any of the strategy behind those picks, go ahead and skip, ahead to those lineup timestamps. They're listed in the description below. However, if you do want to hear, the strategy, we do take, quite a bit of time doing the research on this slate, the single game Fanduel slate. So not only will it help you create, one lineup, but also potentially multiple lineups that could be up on the leaderboard. So with that, speaking of leaderboards, Mr. David Grant Jr. over here coming in first place on the March 27th Denver versus Phoenix game. We did, cover that, so congratulations to you. We wanted to, let our community know earlier, but I ended up taking a little short vacation, so this is the first video back. So David, I'll let you take it for a second.
Yeah, man, this is why instead of fast forwarding to the end where you just get that free lineup, had you listened just to the short podcast, you could have got some extra insights that may have led you to the same lineup or just another one of the big money lineups that were there. KCP was one of my picks. I said lock him into your lineups, and he had his 36 fantasy points just like he has for the past 4 years. I said lock in Kevin Durant. He did exactly what he's been doing. Jokic was obvious. For me, I put in Thad Young at 0.5%. As I always mention, you want to be following beat writers from every city of every NBA team. I had heard his conditioning had been good. Nurkic was actually out that game. And so I thought, hey, Thad Young might get some run, and if he does, he's a fantasy per minute monster. He ended up seeing, I believe, 17 minutes, and that was the difference, less than a fantasy point. Me and one other guy tied for first, and then going to second. So again, following the information instead of just looking at those 2 free lineups can really win you a lot of big money. So yeah, felt good to knock another one down there. You and I have been on the roll there for a second.
Yeah, and I think that's 5 now or so that we've covered and coming first. So yeah. And well, as we move on here to the Dallas versus Golden State game, so yeah, this game's looking pretty interesting. Looking back at the previous game here, it actually was fairly recently, March 13th. Dallas ended up winning that. That was Golden State at Dallas. Golden State 99, Dallas 109. Looks like Pazinski, Kuminga, and Wiggins top 3 fantasy FanDuel points on Golden State, and Irving, Gafford, and PJ Washington for Dallas. However, keeping in mind that Steph Curry and Draymond Green did not play in this game, so that could obviously affect the fantasy scoring there, because those two do put up quite a bit of numbers. But looking ahead at this game here, the stats are pretty nice up on the board here. It looks like Golden State is favored by 1 point. The over-under sitting at 234.5. And yeah, so going at it, Golden State, offensive rating 116.9, defensive 115.0, and a pace of 99.99. That's pretty crazy stat. These are all based on, obviously the NBA.com, advanced statistics. They're sitting roughly about league average on both offensive and defensive, where Dallas, 117.9 offensive is, slightly better than league average, 115.7 defensive, and a 110.57. Their pace is insanely high. They're one of the tops in the league. This, I think, will, they're going to slow down a little bit to kind of, meet that with Golden State, but Golden State's also going to get brought up. So I have a feeling that Golden State could be a benefactor in this matchup, just simply because they're going to be getting potentially a lot more possessions. Key injuries: Golden State looks like Kuminga's questionable, game time decision questionable. Klay Thompson is game time decision probable, and Sarkic is out. Where on the Dallas side, Derek Lively is game time decision questionable, and Green is out for the Dallas. So yeah, with that, David, do you have anything to add before we get over here to our lineups?
Just a couple tidbits. The Golden State Warriors are actually 18-19 at home, so they have a losing record at home. They are 22-15 on the road. They are coming off, they have won 4 games in a row, but that is pretty wild to know that they have a losing record at home. They got 8 games remaining, as well as Dallas. They both have 8 games remaining. Golden State has the 18th hardest schedule. Dallas has the 23rd hardest schedule. And if the playoffs started today, the Warriors would be in that final 10th seed at 40-34, and the Mavericks sitting in the 5th seed at 45-29. So, I mean, this is a big game. We got, and they play again. I just know Golden State plays Dallas twice, once including tomorrow, the Pelicans, the Lakers, and then the Rockets. And then the 2 bad games are Portland and the Jazz, and then Dallas has OKC, the Heat, the Rockets, the Warriors twice, but then they got the Pistons, Hornets, and Atlanta for their final 3. So, yeah, man, big game, man. Lots of implications here. So, yeah, let's dive into this and kind of see what we think. Think how this game's going to turn out and what our plays are.
Thanks. All right. So heading over here to our lineup. So who you got? Who you got starting us off here?
So usually I wouldn't make it just something so blatantly obvious or whatnot. That stuff drives me crazy. But Luka Doncic's under 17.5 for salary. He's at 16,000. He's arguably, he might get MVP this year. I wouldn't be shocked. He'd be well deserving of it. I mean, he's up there with SGA for me for sure. Is definitely one of my top 3. The last 2 times that Luka has played Golden State, he's hit 62 and 66 fantasy points. I'm sorry, he has hit 62 and 65 fantasy points. My apologies. And even going back further, which I know, I like to go back 2 seasons, no matter how different the teams are. We all know Luka's a one-on-one type player anyway, who just gets buckets. Last season, 62 fantasy points, and he sat out a game, and then he even had an 83 fantasy point game against them. So,
yeah, that's crazy.
And at 16,000, he will be 80% owned at the MVP. So the play, I'll be having him at MVP, but the ownership play really will be putting him at the star. It's crazy how much he drops. Drops literally to, I don't want to say 15%, but let's say he's 75% at MVP, he'll be like 10% at star, and that's such a huge difference. And someone like Kyrie, someone like Steph, there are people on here that could not have him be MVP optimal. Let's just go there. Let me voice it that way. So Yeah, at 16K, he should easily be 17.5. I mean, with what I've seen with other guys on other slates, I can't pass up 16K with Luka Doncic. So that's my first play. What are your thoughts, and who do you got here for your first play?
Yeah, no, I obviously you can't, it's hard to argue numbers.
Uh,
Just looking back, 73, 9, 55, 52, 64, 64. Yeah, pretty hard to argue. Numbers there. So my main concern is like he did have some injury tags. His Achilles. Last few, he does not have one for this game. But I just did put that out there. Yeah, he's averaging 36.7 last 5 games minutes wise, and his usage last 5 games has been a 35.8. So I mean, I believe his teammate, I forgot who it was, but like has even said that like it's kind of boring just going out there and giving him the ball. Basically, I forgot the teammate. I'll have to do research. I'll put it in the comments who it was. But his teammate actually came out and said like, yeah, I'm just getting bored of just going out there and passing him the ball. I'm paraphrasing, but yeah. So with that, obviously, like if you're getting the ball, he's getting the ball in usage over a third of their possessions. That's insane with the minutes. So it's hard to argue that. But like you did say, obviously the ownership play will be in Star, and there are people that can potentially outdo him. He could have, a 50-point fantasy or a high 40-point fantasy, and then Kyrie gets more, or Steph Curry or whoever that may be could actually get more. So, yeah, no, I like him. I'll definitely be having him MVP Star. I don't think I would go lower than that.
No.
Yeah, so.
I've seen crazier lineups win, but it's not smart.
Yeah, so no, I like it. My first play, I'll switch over here to Golden State, Mr. Tracy Jackson Davis here. Yeah, I like him. Last 5 games, he's putting down 30.2. His usage is a little less than I like, the 13.1. Averaging 26.7, and he's projected 30.3 fantasy points. And at 11K, I'm going to be expecting him to have higher numbers. I do like him in both, Star, Pro, and Utility. At the 11K, it's a little flexible based on your lineup construction. You can go, Utility. That's probably basically fading, Don and Luka in your lineup. To get a utility person roughly that high, but with Kuminga potentially out, he does have a lot more potential there. I mean, and not to mention Golden State, he has basically the best matchup position-wise against Golden State. They are giving up, averaging about 39.9 fantasy points per game to him. They just gave up 48.4 to Smith Jr., 41.4 to Sabonis, a 40.7 to Sabonis because the Dallas did play back-to-back games against Sacramento, and then a 43.2 against Collins from Utah. So, yeah, it looks like their center position is, pretty vulnerable there in Dallas. So, with Tracy Jackson getting the starting role, with Kuminga potentially out, I think the potential for him to have one of those good games, at least a 30-plus game, is more than likely. So that's why I'm going with him. And yeah, I do like him in the multiplier spots definitely. So with that, what are you thinking?
Yeah. The 11K, I think, will definitely keep his ownership down, which is a good thing. We both know that he does have great upside, so that's also awesome. His minutes have been up quite a bit over the last 3 games because of the injury. I guess just one other person to consider for me would be he's just one of my favorite guys to watch. Andrew Wiggins, he's at 10.5. I guess that is only 500 less. I thought, as I was looking at, he's 1,000 less than Kuminga. So nonetheless, if you look at the two other games, his minutes have also been up with Kuminga out. So if Kuminga were to be out, not only is who you're talking about, TJD, Trace Jackson Davis, but Wiggins at 10-5, he hit 48.6 against Charlotte and 34 fantasy points against Orlando. He's a baller. So again, I know that is only really a 500 difference between the guy you're talking about. I was thinking it was 1,000, but it was 1,000 with Kuminga. So yeah, no, great play. He is someone. I see it tough going above the pro. I mean, I could see him making the star depending on what goes down, but the smart money will be to me in the pro in the utility spot for sure. And again, I think his ownership should be fairly low. So yeah, great play. I like it. I'll have exposure for sure.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Now, to get the Golden State out of my way. No, I'm just kidding. So no, I'm gonna move over here to Dallas, and while Doncic, like you said, you talked about, I'm gonna be talking about the second up, but not to say anything bad about him, Mr. Kyrie Irving. He's averaging 35.4 minutes in the last 5 games, 26.1, which is basically the second highest on the team. It's not 35, but he's averaging 38.6 in the last 5, and he is projected roughly about 37 points. I do like him in all the multiplier spots. I don't think I would drop him down to utility at the 13.5K salary. But he's definitely, I think, a live play for MVP over Doncic. Like you said, if you want that ownership play with Luka, drop him down, have Kyrie up in the MVP. He did score 52 on their last game. So the potential for him to have another game is also there. He doesn't, according to the stats, have the best matchup against Golden State, but I think Kyrie's gonna get his. So with that, I like him, especially in this. He's looking healthy. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah. That's definitely that was going to be one of my top plays as well, because just as you mentioned, I see him having a much better opportunity to outscore Steph fantasy point wise than I do, really anybody else. I see Doncic and Kyrie being the top two guys. The way Steve Kerr coaches and just the way their team's built for Golden State, they seem to go a little bit deeper, spread the ball around, do a little bit more. The usage with Doncic and Irving, they can single-handedly win you a game. With the pickups that they got at the trade deadline with Gafford and PJ Washington have been huge. It's really only helped both of them and helped their defense, obviously. So, and again, moving him. Kyrie is playable in the MVP, star, and pro. I won't be putting him in utility, but primarily mixing him between pro and star, and then trying to. I mean, again, when he's at that MVP, that's like the move to make, and hope, fingers crossed, Doncic doesn't go insane and Kyrie don't go insane, because we both know they can at the same time even. So, great pick. I guess that leaves me to my final pick. This one's tough. Man, I am torn here. Gafford, I think I'm gonna have to go with Dallas with Daniel Gafford. His fantasy point per minute production is just amazing. What he's been doing for the team has been amazing. Last time he played Golden State, he had 44 fantasy points against them. Golden State is giving up 38 fantasy points to starting centers. Um, his, he over the last 5 games, he's averaging 35 fantasy points, and even at that 12.5 salary, he does have, 55, I believe, 55, 58. Is there 60 in there? And he's got those upper 50s and could have a crazy night and hit 60. So 12.5, he is going to be chalk at the pro spot. I don't mind that. You could put him in utility. I do see a couple guys in utility that if Gafford doesn't get off on one of those crazy amazing games, but gets you like a 32 fantasy point game or like a 29 fantasy point game, he could be optimal in that utility spot. And then someone like Chris Paul or Moody or another player that you have could be optimal up there in that pro spot, which will also help with the ownership. So Gafford is my other third main play, though, that I'll be mixing and matching around. This is really going to be an ownership play with how this roster comes together. So I don't know how, real quick side note before we get to you, I don't know how Golden State's favored by 1. That's just crazy to me. I don't know who made that line. That's wild. But nonetheless, what are your thoughts on Mr. Daniel Gafford, and who do you got here for your final play?
Yeah, no, I like him, as he is also my final play as well. Yeah, like you mentioned, I like him in the star and the pro. Utility, like you said, that would be very, I think more risky, but based on who you think as those lower salary people can have the potential. Like you said, he would have to be on the lower side, but still enough to benefit off that 12.5 salary. But minute wise, 24.4 minutes. I really wish he would get more. There is potential for him to get more with that Derek Lively game time decision news, so we'll be following that very closely. Usage 17, averaging about 35 fantasy points, and he's projected 37. He does have a very favorable matchup, Golden State just gave up 66 to Wembanyama, 47 to Adebayo, 33.4 to Gobert, and 41 to Miles Turner. So yeah, the potential for him to go go crazy is there. He's had multiple games this season over 5+ blocks, which is amazing for fantasy production. If this guy's getting blocks, I mean, I'm hoping he does have his higher scoring games. Last few games he hasn't put too many raw points up on the board, 6, 10, 13. I would like to see him, but I mean, at the same time, he's getting blocks and rebounds and steals. He's basically gotten the steal, every game for the last 6 games. So defensive monster down below. So yeah, I see him as an overall great pick, especially to kind of round out the bottom end of your lineup. So.
Yeah, I like that Lively news is huge because, like you mentioned, if Lively's not there and he can get those extra minutes, that can put him in that upper echelon to get into that star position where he will be low owned. I promise you, his ownership at star will be under at 10% or under for sure. I mean, I can't fathom it being much higher than that. I've got to go to the ownership.
All right, and with that, let's see these free lineups. So if you are just tuning in, you just basically missed the explanation on why we kind of these lineups kind of look like they are. So if you are laughing or you have any questions, comments, concerns, please go back, watch the recap here, and with that, here's those free lineups, and it's looking. Oh wow, looking pretty similar. It actually does look like I did not change my lineup. And I will actually change that right now because it did not update like it should have. All right, there. Now we officially have it on the screen. That is actually not that either. Oh, man. What is going on here?
Maybe
okay, round 3. Here officially is the lineup for mine. Sorry about that. That's terrible editing, and well, I'm just going to leave that in there because it is what it is. So, as we wrap it up here, please, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It does really help, our channel, continue to grow. And, the more likes, more subscribes, more notification bells, we do get put out in front of more people. If you do, subscribe to the channel, make sure you head over to the short section. I do post, 2 prize pick selections for the matchup. The 2 most likely to hit there. Just an extra, way to play DFS here. And yeah, let's get another win here over at DFS Insights. Hoping one of these lineups can also help you guys hit that leaderboard. And also, our breakdowns and our key players. Hope you, build some of those lineups so that you can also be seen up the leaderboard. And let us know if you do end up on a leaderboard and you did watch our channel. That would be great to see some of the community start hitting and posting some wins up themselves. So with that, David, I will end it on good luck, see you up there, and take it away. And I think he might have left a little bit early, but with that, have a good night, everybody. Take it easy.